What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another video in my YouTube channel. Sorry I've been away, guys, for a couple of months. It's been very busy for me. I haven't had time to make a video. I'm just slowly setting up a small workstation studio, so forgive me if the sound is a little bit echoed. I'm getting there. I'm trying to do this, obviously, in our basement. So thankfully I have a lot of space and the wife lets me do it. Guys, today's video is going to focus on layer masks and how layers work in Photoshop. You need to understand how powerful layers are. And once you understand the basis of how to use layers and layer masks, as well as adjustment layers, guys, everything else becomes amazing. Your workflow will improve for the better. You'll jump from Lightroom into Photoshop and your images are going to get that extra pop that they deserve. So many people are afraid of using Photoshop because they don't understand the basics, but trust me, after you listen to this short 10-minute video, you're going to fully appreciate and understand. So without further ado, guys, let's jump right into Photoshop. Okay guys, so here we are in the wonderful world of Photoshop. I'm going to start by opening up a blank document to show you guys how layers work. So I open up a blank document and all you see is a white blank pane. On the right, you'll see a layer. This is a layer on the right side where it says background. Start by unlocking your layers before you use them. Layers, guys, can be deleted. They could be moved up and down. They can be renamed. So if you double click where you see the layer name, you could rename this. Let's name this to white. Okay. Perfect. A layer can be turned on or off by clicking the little icon to the left of it. It looks like a little eye. You'll see when I click the layer off, right now there's nothing underneath this layer over here. So that's why you're seeing blank pixels of the document. I could turn the layer back on. If I want to add a new layer, I can click the little icon at the bottom right over here, which looks like a sheet of paper, and it says create new layer. Let me do that for you guys, and let me fill the layer with a color. Don't worry about how I did that. It isn't important. What is important is understanding how layers work. So I filled it with a color. And now you're going to see that there's no more white because the red layer, which I'm going to rename for you right now by double clicking, is sitting on top of the white layer. And the red layer is not transparent at all. So that's why you no longer see the white. If I turn off the red layer, what happens? The white layer is visible. If I turn it back on, the red layer is visible. If I click and drag the red layer underneath until you see the little blue lines, the white layer. Now the white layer is on top, and that's visible. If I take the white layer and drag it at the bottom, the red layer is visible again. Guys, you can even delete layers by clicking the layer and dragging it into the little garbage bin that you see right here. That will delete a layer. Alternatively, you can actually click the layer and click delete on your keyboard. What if you want a layer to be slightly transparent? What if you say, Jules, I want some of the white layer to come through into the red. Is that possible? Yes, it is. It's called opacity. Opacity could be found right over here on the right. Don't worry about fill. Here's opacity. You can change the opacity by either clicking, highlighting, and typing a percentage on your keyboard, or you can click the little arrow and adjust it. As I lower the opacity, it becomes more transparent. So the color is fading because more white is being brought into the red layer. At 0, the layer is completely see-through, meaning the red layer is see-through and the white layer is showing. That's why if I turn the layer on and off on the red side, it doesn't do anything because it's already completely transparent. If I bring the opacity to 100%, the red layer shows. You can also add another layer. Layers can be added. You can add thousands of layers, one on top of the other. Now I have a green layer. Let's double click it and rename it green. These are color-filled layers. These are basic layers. You can even turn these layers into groups. If you highlight them by holding Control and clicking all the layers, you can either push Control or Command G on a Mac to create a group, or you can drag the layers into the little folder at the bottom over here. That will create a group. Then you could rename your group layers or whatever you want. Then you could turn that group on or off. And if you open the group, you'll see your layers within the group. Those are how layers work, basically like a sandwiches or sheets of paper stacked together. It's very important that you understand that they can be moved around and everything will change depending on where the layers are placed. The layer on top usually takes supremacy. It's what shows all of the color or effects, unless you use a special type of mask, which is a clipping mask, which will be for another course. What is an adjustment layer, guys, and what is a layer mask? Well, adjustment layers are simply that. They're layers which can be adjusted. They are layers which show adjustments. Let me give you an example in a real world image so you guys can understand. Let's close this document. Here's an image I took, I guess you could say a couple months ago, just walking around a park near my house. So, first of all, you'll see the background is locked. Unlock your layer. Adjustment layers can be found right over here at the bottom. Okay, it looks like sort of like a half moon or a half circle. You click it and you get this menu. These are all your different types of adjustment layers: vibrance, saturation, curves, exposure, brightness. Some of them you probably know from Photoshop, some of them, from Lightroom, and some of them you probably know from other versions of Photoshop or Capture One or any other editing program that you're using. So when I click let's say I'm clicking an adjustment layer, I click brightness and contrast. A window opens. Here's the window where your adjustments will be made. So if I drag the brightness up or down, I can adjust it. I can even type a value in. Let's say I have a value of 25. I can type that in. Contrast, same thing. Okay. I can turn the layer on or off right from here. Okay. I can even put that adjustment in the trash can by clicking on the little trash bin. Delete the layer. At this point, I'm not going to do it. So let's say I make my adjustment, okay? I make a little adjustment, I close the window. I want to get back to that adjustment window to make more adjustments. Simply click the icon to the left of this little square white box. I'm going to explain what this little square is in a minute. Click the icon. It'll bring you back to the adjustment. For instance, I create a color balance layer and I change the color balance of my image. I finish. I come back and I say, you know what? I want to reconfigure my color balance. Double click the icon. Or I want to reconfigure my brightness. Double click the icon. You can even adjust the amount of the effect by clicking on the layer and lowering the opacity. If you lower the opacity, you're making the layer more transparent, so the effects are not as great. And you can see that if I lower the opacity, the effect goes down. If I raise the opacity, the effect goes back up. So you can see that live. Opacity can also be used for that. Now, what are layer masks and why are they important? Well, you need to understand something when it comes to a layer mask. Remember this: white reveals and black conceals. White reveals and black conceals. What does that mean? Well, I'll explain it to you. When I created my adjustment for my brightness, okay, let me just go crazy here so you understand. Okay, when I created my adjustment for my brightness, okay, the adjustment, the brightness and contrast adjustment is showing on the entire image, as you can see, right? It was here, everywhere you look, that whole adjustment affected the entire image. That's why a white mask is showing, because white reveals. So white is revealing the adjustment of this layer incomplete, meaning it showed the whole image. So I added, let's say, another adjustment layer and I went to saturation. So I bring my saturation to plus 100. It shows a white mask because white is revealing the entire adjustment of saturation on this layer. So the entire image. This is where layer masks come in and why they are so powerful. For instance, here's my adjustment. But you say, Julian, I want the adjustment, let me show you, to be done only over here. Meaning, let's say I want the adjustment to not show up at the bottom. I just want it to show up over here, right up here. Is that possible? Yes, it is. And this is why layer masks are very powerful. So, first and foremost, make sure you grab a brush. You can either hit B for brush on your keyboard or go to the left side of your Photoshop pane and find the icon for brush. Make sure it's selected. Make sure your opacity is at 100. Make sure your flow is at 100. Okay? These are all other adjustments that you'll learn in future videos if you keep following along. Go down to your colors and you could swap between your colors at the bottom by using these little arrows. Remember, white reveals and black conceals. So if I'm in my layer mask, make sure you're not here, make sure you're inside your layer mask. And if I paint with white, what happens? Nothing, because you're painting white on white. However, if I paint on black, black conceals, meaning it hides. I'm going to hide the adjustment on this area. So if I paint in black, what happens? I'm hiding the adjustment in this part of the image, meaning at the bottom, The adjustment is not happening. It's like I turned my layer off at the bottom. I'm covering the effect. If you want to see your mask in black and white, hold Alt on a PC, Option on a Mac, click the mask. Now you can see in black and white where I've covered. I've decided to cover the areas at the bottom in black. And at the top, they're white, meaning the adjustment of brightness and contrast is not being hidden. It's being exposed for up at the top. This is a non-destructive way of editing, meaning I can always come back to this mask and make adjustments. For example, let's say I create another adjustment. Let's say I go crazy here, and then I create another adjustment, I don't know, a photo filter, I go crazy. I can always come back to the brightness and contrast layer that I originally did, click in the mask, make sure my color is white, and then I can repaint in areas that I want the effect to show. Because I've changed my mind. I say, you know what? I want the snow to be bright again. So I could use Photoshop to change my mind and paint in the effect. And now if we look at the mask, it shows. It's showing visible where it's white and it's being hidden where it's black. Once again, where it's black, the brightness and contrast adjustment that I've done is being hidden, meaning the effects are not showing up in this area. That's how a mask works. And they're very important. Most people that start Photoshop, let me show you, don't know what an adjustment layer or layer mask is. So they simply have their image like this. They go to image, they go to adjustments, and then they do the same thing. Let's say I go to brightness contrast, okay? I adjust my brightness, I adjust my contrast. I click OK. If you look at the image, there is no layer mask, meaning this is a destructive way of editing. Sure, I can use Command or Control Z and I can go back and erase that, but I'm done. I can no longer paint back in the effects that I want. I'd have to start over. I'd have to go to adjustments, brightness and contrast, and I'd have to start over. And it doesn't make me another layer. It just copies on the layer that I'm using. If I ever close this document and try and come back and do this again, I'm done. I can never go back. This adjustment is permanent. Never use these adjustments in this type of instance. Always use adjustment layers, which are here. For instance, black and white. I want the image to be black and white only at the bottom, but I want the sky to remain in color. Well, I go on my black and white layer. White means it's revealing the entire adjustment, the entire black and white effect. Grab my black brush. What do? Paint in black. Black conceals the effect. It hides the black and white effect in the sky. As you can see in the layer mask, it's hiding the effect. Oh, I missed an area here. So anywhere it's black, it is concealing. Anywhere it's white, it is revealing. That is the basics of layer mask. And this is just a simple entry-level course to give you guys an understanding of what they do. Just so you know, this icon here is the icon for a layer mask, okay? So this is how layer masks work. This is the fundamentals of how a layer mask works. And it's very important, of course, because you can do really fine-tuning adjustments. For instance, I want to brighten up the church because the sun is beaming over here on this side. So I want to brighten up this church. Well, I take my levels layer and I start brightening up the image. But I say, you know, it's too bright. I only want it to be affecting the church. Well, you can also change this mask from white to black and go the other way. The hotkey would be Control or Command I. Now you have a black mask, meaning everything is being covered. The whole effect of the adjustment that I did, the whole brightening effect is covered. But if I change my brush to white, I come in with my brush and I start painting white. Obviously, don't look at this example. I'm not being precise. I'm just showing you. I could paint in the church in white, exposing the effect, revealing the effect of the levels that I've done in this area of the image. That's why adjustment layers and layer masks are so powerful, guys. And this is why Photoshop is an extremely, extremely powerful tool. I hope you guys understand now what layer masks do, how layers work. If you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate. Write something in the comments. If you liked my video, guys, please subscribe to my channel. I appreciate the support. If you have any questions, shoot me an email. Catch me on Instagram, photos_Farah. Catch me on Facebook. I'm here to help. I want you guys to be able to learn Photoshop And as these tutorials become more and more progressing, they're going to get more and more complex, and we're going to introduce more and more items. So that being said, guys, I'm going to let you go for the day. I want to wish you guys a wonderful day. Thank you so much for tuning in. Honestly, keep creating, eat, sleep, create, guys. Enjoy yourselves, okay? Take care for now.